new generation of London gangs are organised on the basis of violence, because the gang that is the most violent will maximise its profits in the drug market.
You tell nobody does light work.
Come on.
Light work, look, put on the wrist, light work, but then
Light
I'm
work.
right here, that's light work.
Quick 20. Quick 20 quid.
Light work.
Come on.
Jumping.
The old school mafia, don't harm women, don't harm kids, all that is out of the window. Whoever terrorises the other postcode the most will dominate the drug market. My name is Shaun Attwood. I am a true crime YouTuber and author. I served just under 6 years in Arizona prison for trafficking ecstasy, and I'm an activist and I work in drugs education. Top dogs in the London drug gangs include the Marley Boys, Clerkenwell Crime Syndicate, and the Albanian Mafia. In fact, I spoke to someone recently and he told me the story of a young person who'd set up shop in Albanian territory. They came to his house and they removed his eyeball with a spoon. People take their safety in society for granted, but these gangs are so ruthless and so calculated, human life means nothing for them. They bring people over and they perform the hits and then they go right back to where they came from, undetected. You've got the old school gang leaders, and then you've got the new generation of gangs and the elders. So for the kids who are on the streets with nothing to do, kids who have not got parents, are state raised, or their parents just don't care about them and are letting them run wild, these are ideal fodder for recruitment for the gangs. So the need to belong, to have a sense of family, is something these kids are lacking. And when these elders come to them and say, look, I'm your fam, you can be like me, rise up in the gang, be a high earner, and we are your new family and we will take care of you. These kids are groomed into thinking this is their new family, but really they're just getting used. And when it goes down, for example, if they used to murder someone, when it goes down and they get arrested, they're often left out to dry by the gang leaders, the gang members.
I will go out, leave the area, and I'll get kids to go up there for me. Pay them like 300 a week.
So what sort of age?
About from anywhere from like 12 to like 15, 16.
When they are looking at the disenfranchised youths on the streets, they're saying to themselves, how do these kids fit in? Is that kid, could he be an enforcer? Has he got violent tendencies? Could this other kid be a lookout? So they structured the gang in accordance with how these kids perform. As they increase in the sales, they rise up the gang. But it's all razzle-dazzle from the gang leaders, because they are saying, look, I've got the women, I've got the diamonds, I've got the money. You rise up in the gang and you could be just like me. But more often than not, these young people who are aspiring to that lifestyle are doing the dirty work for the elders, and a lot of them end up in prison serving life sentences. And once they get sent down, they're thinking this so-called family is going to support them, and their homies are trying to sleep with their girlfriends. These gangs manage to operate so effectively in the city because so much money is involved in the illegal black market in drugs. As that money flows to the top, it doesn't stop at the gang leaders. It goes to corrupt cops, corrupt politicians, corrupt prosecutors. In fact, we interviewed a guy who had bribed an entire customs team so that he could bring his product into the London market.
The offer was put forward that they had a whole team of customs officers. For £1 million a box, they would clear any container we wanted through the wharf.
When you're talking about the illegal black market in drugs, each gang is a brand. And if that brand is under threat because another gang is coming on its turf, it must use the most extreme violence possible to protect its brand and send the other gang off its turf. Otherwise, it's going to lose money. So with the London gangs, if a young kid is showing potential, they will give that young kid some product, drugs, on credit, and if the kid can get rid of that product fast, they've earned the trust of the gang. More product will be extended on credit, and that kid will be allowed to grow his customer base and take over a certain area or a certain street for the gang. Knivings are common every week. Guns are easily accessible. I've heard about people getting kneecapped. I've heard about people getting dropped off high-story apartment balconies, or at least dangled off them. There's no method that these gangs won't use when it comes to trying to maintain their turf and earn their money.
Splash that cash, nigga. Huh? Tell him don't spend the re-up, man.
The main rules for these gangs are snitches get stitches. If anyone grasses on these gang members and they found out, it's usually KOS, kill on sight. And the other rule is loyalty to the gang. These elders, they're looking for foot soldiers that will die for them. That's how committed they get these young people to these criminal families. These gangs are blood in, blood out. You can't just walk away from the gang. You now know too much. You are a liability. If you think you're just going to walk out, they would rather snuff you out than have you out there with the possibility that you could at some point give their names to the cops. All these kids you see every weekend, someone's been stabbed in London, knife crime in London, they are young people competing for the black market profit in drugs created by drug laws. When I was a kid, the pubs didn't have drugs, every pub. I walk into a pub now in London, cocaine is everywhere. Not only can you just get it from your pub, from people on the street, you can order these drugs online.
Got about 300 views on a hotline, but I got listed more.
There is a technological arms race between the gangs and the cops. And the gangs are always the first to innovate and adapt a new move. We saw that recently with EncroChat, where the criminals made the first move, but the cops rose above it and cracked the code, and many arrests were made. But as we speak, the criminals are out there using the latest technology to their advantage. Is a microcosm of society. And just like the postcode wars on London streets show which postcode is dominating the drugs business, it's same in the prison system. I spoke to a guy yesterday who'd done 40 years in prison, just got out recently, and he said a certain postcode will dominate one prison, and if other postcode members come into that prison, they will get beat up, attacked, killed, and sent to another prison. But that means another gang, another postcode is dominating that prison, and if this postcode members end up over there, they'll get attacked, killed, and run out of that prison. So all the prisons across London and all of the areas of London are dominated by certain postcodes. The strategies that law enforcement agencies utilize to combat street gangs in London are tantamount to just going through the motions. You've got the top cops, the top politicians taking bribes from the gangs while letting the foot soldier cops pretend to be being tough on crime. All this is one big money go round kept in place so those at the top of society can feed off those at the bottom. The illegal black market in drugs keeps the police in business, keeps the court in business, keeps the judges and prosecutors in business, and a hell of a lot of that money from the streets goes to the people at the top.